Hello, my friends. We're talking about the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius today. It's going to be, or is, I guess it depends on when you see this, June 3rd, 2023. It's at 13 degrees and 17 minutes of Sagittarius. I think that's the exact minute and degree. Oh, 18 minutes. So anyways, the key is full moon in Sag. Let's kick our heels up. Let's play. Let's have fun. These are all Sagittarius keywords. These are for everybody. This is for everybody. You don't have to know what your sun, moon, or rising. You don't have to know any of that today. Not on this channel. This channel, I tell you what the energy is. We all have to work with. And to be more personal, then you will want to check and see what house it is and if it's connecting with anything. And you can add that to it yourself, or you can ask. And so, plain and simple, full moon in Sagittarius is playful. It's fun. We want to explore life. We want to know more about the things that light a fire under our rear ends, right? We want to enjoy life, and we want to play, and we want to do the things that we're passionate about. And we want to discover. Now, if that doesn't sound like you, and that can be true, I'm not an overly adventurous person myself, but when we have a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius and it's making a 120-degree aspect to not to Pluto, to Mars, it's a little wide. It's separating now, but it creates, what that means is like there's an extra bit of fire in the sky. But the full moon, and with other planets that we have, it's very mutable chart for the full moon. Here, I'm going to share my screen with you so you could actually see what I'm talking about. Here's the full moon in Sagittarius, Sun in Gemini, and the trine aspect is right there. I have that turned off, and I don't have the trine aspects on right now. So play, have fun, be exploratory, find that within you. We all have this available to us. Again, whether this describes you or not, as naturally speaking. Again, you don't have to be a Sag for this to be you. Sagittarius is somewhere in your wheel, and that means we're all getting an activation from this full moon in Sagittarius on June 3rd. Play, have fun. This here is my forecast. I think I'm sharing. Let me double check what I'm sharing. Nope, I'm not. This is my forecast. And it is on my website, on the blog, that it goes there first. This forecast goes on to Patreon second. The written forecast goes into the newsletter third. And then it all goes on to YouTube is the fourth one. So in that order. So come and join the other places if you're not there yet. And if you are, thank you so much. So you can go read this. It's only, it's under 1,000 words. But the point is, it's like, Sag is that spark. It wants to explore. It wants us to discover. We feel that. We need that. We just want that. That is what it is that we need. I'm going to share my screen here one more time. Come on, Zoom. I uninstalled and reinstalled Zoom, and it's still not being cooperative with me this week or last week or the week before. I got Uranus transit going on, guys. I got some technology issues like you wouldn't believe. Needless to say, I'm looking forward to this because, it's going to be, it's just, to me, it's fun. It's easy. It's relaxed. It gives me an opportunity to just to explore and discover my truth. And again, you're going to feel the energy of this in some ways too, where you will feel adventurous and just a spark inside that we don't usually have. And that's really important for us to engage in, especially when things are so stressful as they are. And we have that light. Now, a couple of the things with this full moon I want to talk about is this stuff right over here and this right up here. These are just another measurement. It's called declination. I'll just leave it with that. You can research it if you like. This isn't the place to teach it for me. The moon is what we call out of bounds. The moon in Sagittarius is out of bounds. So that means it's going to be feeling even more gregarious and more adventurous and fun because it is beyond where the sun moves in the sky. So that gives us that. And then when we have Pluto really close to the Sun and Venus here, this is really an important aspect. It's called parallel. These two are parallel. This one's contraparallel. And that creates, when Pluto is in that contraparallel measurement with the Sun and with Venus, and they're all making this really, it's called a really hard rectangle. It's called, there's some seriousness with this too, even though I want us to stay focused and honed in on this beautiful Sagittarius energy of, like I said, letting those boundaries go, move towards play and fun and exploring life. Just think of how much young children or puppies or kittens learn by just touching and mouthing and exploring and just their new world that they've never seen before. Engage in that in your life. Engage in that. I want you to. This hard rectangle that is created by these four spaces, and then this measurement over here with Pluto is involved in all of these. It just says that there is a deeper contract happening. There is something in our play or in our exploratory lives, in the way that we're exploring and discovering our own truths, then something deeper happens for us. Something deeper happens. That's why Pluto's involved over here and over here. So it's not just play, have fun. There's something deeper going on. Now, you don't have to sit there and like make your head pop trying to think about, well, what's the deeper message? But it will naturally show. The deeper message will naturally show up, especially if you take some time and just work that process in the way that is important for you. And you're watching me disengage some of these other aspects that I don't typically have on. And you're watching me engage the ones that I like to have in. I usually just stick with 6 basic aspects. So that's what we have with the full moon. So, but there's more. There's more. Because if you follow me, you know, lunar gestation cycle, it's a 3-year cycle, always starts with the new moon and in the same area of whatever lunar event we're looking at. So we had a new moon really close to 13 degrees of Sag back in December 2021. I'm going to show you that chart. 9 months after that, we had the first quarter moon. So the sun and the moon were square. The moon was somewhere around 13 degrees of Sag, not in the same house, a different time of day. So we don't look at the house placements with this right now. It's going to be in the same place in your chart, but not in the chart on the screen. And then we have this full moon which is the subject of today's video. There it is at 13 Sag. So let's look at those other two, because what I want you to understand, here's the first one, new moon, December 4th, 2021. This was an eclipse. When a lunar gestation cycle, those cycles again take 3 years, because 9 months after the full moon is another lunar phase. And 9 months after that, we come back to another new moon. That's a 3-year cycle. This new moon on December 4th, 2021 was a solar eclipse. When the lunar gestation cycles start with an eclipse, it's important. It's not the whole thread of this lunar gestation cycle is important, especially when it starts with a new moon solar eclipse. I would have talked about that back in December 4th, 2021's forecast. However, I had a crash and I lost everything. So it might be on YouTube. I don't care anymore. It's at some point you have to stop, right? And so here we are with that new moon, solar eclipse. What were you initiating? What were you beginning? I would have told you to do similar things to what I've just told you right now. And if you want to read that forecast, everything's listed out there too. I know I talk fast sometimes. All the time. So the new moon in Sagittarius, it was at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. The full moon we have on June 3rd is at 13 Sag. So you see where it started. They're all within just a very small fraction of numbers. So this is when things started. It was connected to Pluto. So there was absolutely something going on, which would have been sudden changing. I looked at my stuff and I was just finishing up some classes because it was getting close to the holidays. I was just finishing up some classes, and Sagittarius is about learning to expand your knowledge. That's what I was doing. I was just tidying up some classes. That's nothing new, though. You have to look and see, what were you doing that was new and you initiated, or if you sit down and you do new moon rituals and intentions, it's just lost for words, new moon rituals and intentions. With that, you would just look at what you wrote down, and have you manifested any of those things? Because 9 months after this new moon eclipse, solar eclipse on December 4th, 2021, 9 months later was the first quarter moon, September 3rd, 2022. Now, Llewellyn's book calls that quarter moon the second quarter, just to be clear. It's the first quarter to me, first quarter in the way when we use the words for this lunar gestation cycle. It's new moon, first quarter, full moon, last quarter. That's what we use. But if you use any of the astrology, primers, whatever they're called, these guidebooks, then it will say second quarter, just to be clear. And here it is. And that's when the moon was at 11 Sag and the sun was at 11 Virgo. At this point in time, so this was 9 months after the December new moon solar eclipse, 9 months, September 3rd, 2022, we're working towards something. This takes courage sometimes when these guys are at a 90-degree angle. I mean, we feel this every month because we have this, a square between these two guys every single month. Twice, but the point is like this one following the cycle of the full moon that we're working with today. And here's that square. And that just says whatever I started 9 months ago in December of 2021 is now, I'm working hard towards it. I might need a little courage even, but it's Sag, and Sag is mutable and flexible and dynamic, because it's fire. It's mutable fire, the only mutable fire sign we have. And it just creates, a lot of fire and flare. And you can see the moon is out of bounds over here still. It's usually out of bounds in Sag and Capricorn right now, these last few years. All right. And then let's go back to 9 months later. We are then in current times, June 3rd, 2023. There's that full moon. It's now at 13 degrees of Sag. So it's 11 degrees, 12 degrees, 13. It's going to flex in that time frame, in that period. So I'll show you. And so with this full moon, that brings full awareness to our environment, to our lives. Here's what it looks like if I was to show you this. Here it is, December 4th, September 3rd, June 3rd. So 12 Sag, 11 Sag, 13 Sag, and then the third quarter is going to be March 3rd, 2024, and it will be at 13 Sag. So it's all between 11 and 13 degrees of Sagittarius. So pay attention to that, find that in your own chart, and see how you can add more content, more information to that for yourself, right? But in the meantime, just know those 3 dates, the December 2021, September 2022, and now June 3rd, 2023. Those are 9-month increments, lunar gestation cycle. That's where that word comes from. That means when we get to this full moon, like everything I said in the beginning of this video, it just gives you an opportunity to really see, what is it that I'm working on? What am I doing? Do I want to continue to do this? Do I want to continue to teach? Or do you want to continue to take classes? Do you want to just go and explore somewhere else in the world? Just go find a nugget of who you are, right? A nugget and a little piece of who you are. And it just gives you another clue. And I love this analogy because let me tell you, if you use Sabian symbols, which I don't use them too often, but something told me to click on the Sabian symbol for this moon, this full moon. So 13 degrees and 18 minutes of Sagittarius is actually the 14th degree of Sag, because we always start with 0. And the 14th degree of Sagittarius, the Sabian symbol, is the pyramids and the Sphinx, right? And so the reason I'm thinking of that, because it's just over the last month, my escape has been Disney Plus. It's free with my phone for 6 months, so I'm taking advantage of it. And I was watching, I watched seasons of on Egypt, and it was just Egyptologists and anthropologists just going through all the different tombs in the Valley of the Kings. And it just reminded me of this, because first off, they're exploring and just learning more and more about their own culture and heritage, right? I mean, not every Egyptologist is from Egypt, but a lot of them are in this series, right? And so they're learning a lot about themselves and their own culture and their own history. And even though a lot of these graves, these tombs were raided thousands of years ago of all of their goods, a lot of things that they find just buried in the sand and in the tombs, just tiny little bits and pieces of things, just tell them so much about who lived in, who was buried, who was the owner of that tomb, et cetera, et cetera. And again, it reminds me of the Sag full moon. It's like, get out there, do something you haven't done before, explore something, find a piece of you didn't know was there, and just let it just, let it expand you so you can just get into something deeper. And I wanted to do this. I've been doing the cards I used to do the cards when I did the weekly forecasts on YouTube, but I don't do them on YouTube anymore. I needed to earn a living, so they're over on Patreon. Let's do one more. Let's just do one card. This is Denise Lynn's deck, Native Spirit. It's a great deck. I've been using it for a long time. I mean, I got Taurus rising in honor of the earth, in honor of Mother, in honor of, Uranus and Taurus. Yeah, he's the one giving me trouble. That's my rising. What's this earth? What's an additional message for this full moon? Oh, the Sweat Lodge came out. It's heat, it's hot, it's fire, just like the full moon in Sag. The Sweat Lodge represents, and that's what a full moon is too. This is such a good card to pick. You saw me shuffle. I didn't pick it ahead of time. You go in here, they have hot coals, they put steam on it. You're in there, you're sweating your ass off. Sorry. You're sweating and you're releasing toxins and maybe having an experience, an existential experience of sorts. Who knows what else you're doing? We'll keep this G. And so it's that. So that's what the Sweat Lodge represents, that heat, that fire, that moisture, but letting things just that you don't need anymore, things that aren't of service to you anymore, just like a full moon shows us and allows us to see, what isn't working anymore. So we're able to release it and let it go. And that way we have space, the capacity to work hard or work towards those things that we do want, the things that are growing and the things that are feeding our soul. I think about it too. This time of year is usually when I used to have a W-2 job, I would always get fired because I just get antsy. I don't like those rules and regulations, which is why I've been self-employed for a long time now, just doing this. But anyways, how about you? So I'm giving you incredible amount of information on how to use this full moon in Sag to explore yourself, explore your life, learn, process, learn to release, let go. There's so much to do here. And the written forecast will give you, like, if you're a real visual person, go ahead and go check that out too. Hey, I'm going to leave us with that. I'm going to put this up before Memorial Weekend. So I hope you all, if you're out there, have a good one. And I will reply to any of your comments below. All right. Take good care, everybody. Blessings and namaste.